Hey guys, Jack Bennett here. Welcome to the lesson. Today I'm going to be talking about choosing a ride cymbal, all the different things that go into you deciding what sort of ride cymbal you want for the music that you choose to play. A ride cymbal is a really important part of a drummer's voice on the instrument. We spend a lot of time on the ride cymbal playing different figures, and it's really important that you get the ride cymbal that matches the music that you want to play and your style of drumming. So I've got 3 different ride cymbals here that we're going to have a look at, and we're going to compare them all. We're going to have a little chat about what to look for in a ride cymbal, how much bell sound you want, how much stick definition, how much wash, and all those sorts of things. The 3 rides that I'm going to be checking out today, the first one here is a K heavy ride. So this is a ZILDJIAN K heavy ride. This is actually an older model. This is actually probably from the 80s. It's got the old small font on it. Then I have a K custom dry light ride, and then I have a straight K ride, and they're all 20-inch rides. So starting out with a little bit of a chat just about what to look for in any ride cymbal, and then we'll look at what they all sound like and listen to what they all sound like. So there's really a few things that you need to consider when you're choosing a ride cymbal. The first thing is, how much stick sound do you get versus the wash? So for most people, they probably say they want a pretty clear stick sound and like a moderate wash. You can sort of run into trouble if you have like hardly any stick definition and the cymbal just carries on basically like a crash cymbal, a really large crash cymbal. If that is the case, if you have a cymbal that's like that, there's a couple of things you can do. You can sort of put tape underneath and all that sort of stuff that'll sort of cut out some of the spread of the cymbal, but you also might want to check out getting a new ride. So that's the first thing is, how much stick definition versus how much wash. Also, when you're talking stick definition, what kind of sound does it have? Does it have a really bright ping? Does it have a really sort of dry tar sound? That's another thing, that the type of sound. Then there's, of course, the pitch of the cymbal itself. A lot of rock cymbals will be really high pitch, really bright, and a lot of jazz cymbals will be really low and dark and dry. And then, of course, there's other things too, like what does the bell sound like? Is the bell, is it like one of those ride cymbals where the bell cymbal kind of activates the cymbal at the same time, so you hear a fair amount of the cymbal wash whilst you hear the bell? Or is it one of those ones where you mainly just hear the bell, not like as a separate entity, but it's a really clear bell and not a whole lot of wash happening when you hit the bell? And probably the last thing would be, can you crash on it? Does it give a pleasant sound when you really crash on it? A lot of today's music is quite loud, some of it's quite aggressive, and a lot of drummers need to be able to ride on the edge of their crash cymbal. Jazz drummers, on the other hand, like to get a nice glance stroke out of their cymbal, and that's where you hit the cymbal, instead of hitting it on the edge the way you might do if you're really slamming it in a rock context, it's where you hit it right on the shoulder. It's actually kind of, what we teach people not to do when we're trying to get them to play really articulately in the bow, like that, and then going for that glance stroke, although this is not a jazz ride cymbal. So that's some of the considerations. Let's now check out this first cymbal. So here we have a ZILDJIAN K heavy ride. The first thing that I notice when I play this cymbal, even just with a moderate stroke, is there's a fair amount of volume coming off this cymbal. It's a heavy cymbal. This is something that I typically use in like any kind of commercial situation or any kind of loud situation. If I'm playing in a band and I know it's going to be a big crowd and maybe it's a big corporate gig or anything that's kind of commercial and that style of music, this cymbal is really good. It's got a very bright ping sound. If you listen to the stick definition. Okay, you can hear there's a fairly high-pitched ping sound to that. It's also got a fairly clear bell. That really cuts through the music. But yet it is still responsive at the softer dynamics as well. It's certainly got a lot of presence, a lot of body to it, but generally it's sort of a higher pitch, it's a brighter sounding cymbal, so I probably use this in more of a commercial situation. Really good ride cymbal, that's a K heavy ride. Next, we have a K Custom Dry Light Ride. Again, this is a 20-inch, just like the other two. The first thing that I notice about this is it has a much faster decay with the wash than the K Heavy Ride had. So when I play a stroke, of course, it does give me some spread, some resonance, but it dies out a lot quicker. It's not. I notice with the K Ride, it keeps giving and giving and giving. So being a dry light ride, it's got a lot of stick articulation and not as much wash, okay? And it's got a very, very dry, that kind of tar sound. It's not a ping sound, it's more of a dry tar sound, and it's a bit lower pitched as well. So this ride, this has got a lot of stick articulation, so I probably use this in any kind of funk context. Funk fusion, probably a Latin context as well. I've noticed when I've used this on gigs, and that's really the deciding factor. You know, if you can, when you're choosing a new cymbal, it's just if you can get it out to a gig and try it, then you will really know if it's the sound you're after. I've noticed when I use this on gigs that I really hear the stick definition coming back at me. And if I've been used to playing a different ride, sometimes I just have to lower my stick height a little bit so that my sound is not, you know, sort of out of context. But that's the same with every cymbal. You have to sort of adapt to the cymbals as you get used to them. So this is a really, really good cymbal for that sort of stick articulation stuff. You could certainly use this in a jazz context as well as a nice sort of alternate sound to your main ride. Okay, it's got a nice bell as well. It's sort of a smaller bell. It certainly doesn't have the cut that the Heavy Ride had, or the straight K Ride I'm going to show you in a second has, but it's still plenty there. It's just a little, it's got that dry, kind of arid, dirty tone to it. Pretty cool cymbal. I reckon it's a really classy cymbal, this one. All right, so that's the 20 Custom Dry Light Ride. All right, and finally we have just a straight ZILDJIAN K Ride. I really love this cymbal. This is probably the cymbal that I go to for the majority of the jazz playing that I do is the main ride. And then I usually have the custom dry as like an alternate sound. I haven't on any of the cymbals, but I haven't put any tape on the bottom of this cymbal. Oftentimes if I have a cymbal that has this much wash, I'll put a little bit of tape on it, but I just like to keep this as the sort of cymbal that I use on gigs where I need to play a lot of different styles. So, you know, oftentimes you'll be doing a gig, let's say you're doing a corporate, and at the start of the night you might be doing some dinner music or some jazz or something like that. Well, you're going to want a little bit of spread coming out of your cymbal. You don't want it all taped up and you've got no wash coming out of the cymbal. So this is beautiful for that. Plenty of stick articulation even when it's soft. It's not getting lost at all. And it's just got a really nice spread. You know, you can dig into it and it's not overkill. It's got a really nice crash sound as well. Out of the three that I played so far, this has probably got the nicest crash sound. So if you did want to really dig into it, you know, you can, and you certainly use it in a rock context. You know, people might not think of a straight K Ride as being a rock cymbal, but it depends what you want out of the cymbal. It does have a really clear bell. There's plenty there, and it does have a really nice crash sound. It's also got a really nice glance sound, so when you're playing jazz, so for gigs that I do, where I know that I'm going to be playing a variety of styles, this is the cymbal I normally have in my cymbal bag. This is sort of my go-to cymbal for versatility, I guess. All right, so there you go. That's three different ride cymbals. Again, the straight K Ride, the K Custom Dry Light Ride, and the K Heavy Ride. This is not me saying you should buy these three cymbals, but these are the three that I own, and I use them in the context that I was talking about. But again, no matter what style of music you play, whether you're into metal, you're into jazz, you're into Latin, orchestral, whatever it is that you do, make sure that you go through, those factors that we're talking about at the start. What kind of stick sound does it have? Does it have a present stick sound, or is it completely lost in all the wash? So that kind of ratio or that way up between the stick sound and the wash. What kind of pitch is the cymbal overall? Is it like a deep sort of dark jazz cymbal, or is it a really high kind of pingy rock cymbal? You might be wanting that dry sound. What does the ping actually sound like? What does the stick articulation actually sound like? Is it that dry sound, or is it that really high pitched ping? What kind of bell do you like? Do you want something that really cuts? I know a lot of drummers really like the fact that their ride cymbal activates the wash. There are certain ride cymbals on the market that are very popular, and when you hit the ride, you can hear a fair amount of the ride cymbal sound as well. Personally, I like a little bit of that, but if I'm going to hit the bell, I want to hear the bell. I don't want to be hearing the cymbal carrying on underneath. A little bit is fine, absolutely. I don't want it to be like a separate entity or anything like that, but I really like a clear bell. Just so that it's another sound that's available to me, and I know that I'm going to get that sound and pretty much only that sound when I hit it. There you go. So also, when you're buying a ride cymbal or any cymbal, be careful if you're buying it through the internet. The internet is awesome if it's a site like mycymbal.com or whatever, where and I'm not affiliated with them, by the way, but if it's something where you can actually hear a good drummer, and they've got really good players on that site, they go through and they play at all different dynamics and all that sort of stuff. Any site like that's really good. You can pretty much be guaranteed that you're going to get the right thing there, and that you do get what you hear. Just be careful though if you're buying it, on eBay or any of those sites. Certainly not saying don't do it. I've done it plenty of times, but you're sort of taking a chance. We know that every single cymbal, especially when there is a human element involved in the creation process, every single cymbal, even within the exact same sizing and series and brand and all of that, they all sound a little bit different just because of that human element. So you can have a vague idea, or even a pretty good idea. You've been to the website and you've heard the sound files and all that sort of stuff, but there's nothing quite like going into the store and checking it out for real. All right, so there you go. That's a few things on how to choose a ride cymbal.